What's up, Sooner Nation, and welcome back to the WhackoReview Podcast, where we go over all things OU football every Monday after the weekend of matchups behind us. I'm Steve Curtis, the voice behind Wacko Sooners, and today your Oklahoma Sooners are 9-2. Despite everything the naysayers were putting out there this year, Oklahoma, Brent Venables, they've won 9 out of their 11 games so far this season. They handled business against the Missouri Tigers at home this Saturday, and they've remained the number 8 in the AP Top 25. They will most likely stay at number 8 in the college football playoff rankings that will come out on Tuesday. And we got one more, and we're in the dance. But all that being said, we've got plenty to dive into today. We'll talk more about the playoff rankings on Friday in the LSU Wacko preview. But today we get to review Oklahoma's performance against Missouri, where they went wrong, where they went right, what they need to focus on as they're gearing up for LSU this upcoming Saturday with Frank Wilson and Michael Van Buren coming to town. We're going to break it all down right here on Wacko Sooners. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell button so you never miss an episode. We are available here on YouTube as well as on Spotify. Plus, you can follow us on all of our socials, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter X, all at Wacko Sooners for live news updates, game day highlights, and of course some memes and reels to keep it lighthearted and fun like we like it here in Sooner Nation. On our YouTube channel, we do all sorts of work with highlights, of course, from games, condensed games, every snap of every game at your disposal. We are happy to provide all that for you. So go hit those follows, hit those subscribes, so you are always in the Wacko loop. All right, so despite a less than ideal performance on offense, Oklahoma handled business against Missouri after last year's disaster, courtesy of Jackson fumbling Arnold, a loss of 30-23, a game where we had it if Arnold had not fumbled it 3 times, the last one for a scoop and score. But the final score in this game, Oklahoma hosting Missouri 17-6. Now, granted, Bo Pribula came back, and, no one was expecting much out of him given his injury situation with that dislocated ankle he sustained against Vanderbilt. He actually played quite well, in my opinion, given that. I was very impressed. But ultimately, this performance from Oklahoma proves in this 3-game, 3-ranked win streak, because remember, Oklahoma goes to Tennessee on the road and win, goes to Alabama, wins on the road, and then hosts Missouri at home, and they win that. All 3 of those teams were ranked. 3 straight wins, 3 straight ranked wins. All right? That just proves to me that the Tennessee win wasn't a fluke. The Alabama win wasn't a fluke. That was just a freak thing. This is the identity of this team now. Play incredible up on defense. Bully your way through the opposing offensive line. Get after the quarterback. Make them one-dimensional. And offense do just enough to win the day. That is the identity of this team, which I don't care if you're winning games by 50 points or if you're winning them by 1 point. I don't care if the final score is 5-2. All right? I don't care about that. As long as you're winning games, I'm happy with it. Granted, would I like to see, as a kid that grew up in the Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts era? Yeah, I'd love to see more on offense, but we're still winning games. We're winning 9 games this season. We're knocking on the front door of the college football playoff, so I'm not going to complain too much about the offense's less than ideal performance by simply what we would like to see, because the defense is doing well enough to keep it in games, and the offense is doing enough to not give away those games. So I'm happy with that. That being said, let's break down these offensive stats, both teams here. Oklahoma, first of all, scored 17 points on offense. None of those points were off of turnovers, mind you, and there were 2 takeaways that the defense had. But OU total yards of offense, 276, 173 pass, 103 rushing, so that's 4.5 yards per play, 14 first downs. They were 6 of 16 on 3rd down. Didn't have any 4th down issues, no turnovers, and they only allowed 2 sacks. And we'll get into that here as we do a more in-depth offensive breakdown once we talk about Missouri's offense here a little bit. So Missouri scored 6 points, 2 field goals in the first half, and that was it. They had 301 total yards of offense, 231 passing, 70 rushing, 4.2 yards per play, 19 first downs, 3 of 15 on 3rd down. That's huge, man. That's huge. And then they were 0 of 1 on fourth down. They failed a fourth down conversion. Then Bo Prabula did throw 2 interceptions. The first to Jacobe Johnson there in the second half. I believe it was their third drive of the second half that he hung that one up there. Jacobe Johnson went and got it. Stretched out. Best pick, I think, of the year so far, just in terms of the athleticism of the corner. Just getting up there and going and picking that off. And then the second one was Missouri's final drive. They were trying to push it down a lot. Prabula just hung one up there, hoping one of his receivers could get it. And Eli Bowen, Mr. Pick Six, or Alabama interceptor himself, went up and got that second one of the day. And that gave Oklahoma the ball to go and take a knee and win out the day. And then, of course, Mizzou allowed Bo Prabula to get sacked 4 times. So that... I mean, all in all, other than the turnovers and the rushing yards, given what we know about Mizzou, I'd say that they had a pretty decent day offensively. They were just inconsistent. It was a great performance by Oklahoma's defense, and we can get into that here a little bit. But I really want to focus on this offense of Oklahoma's because the passing game, it wasn't pretty by any stretch of the imagination. The passing game was, for all intents and purposes, abysmal. All right? Mateer was 14 of 30, so that's 46.7% completion. And he had 173 yards. He did have 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, got lucky on a couple ones that he honestly should have been intercepted, but he wasn't, and we know how much I hate playing that what-if game. Now, a big thing that I enjoyed seeing from him was he had 18 carries for 60 yards as a rusher. I will happily take that because the man was not playing as a decisive runner for weeks. Since the injury, since his knee issue with Auburn, or after he took that bang to his knee against Auburn, wasn't running as well. You saw him show up against Tennessee several weeks ago, ran for 80 yards and a touchdown. You saw him run for a 20-yard touchdown against Alabama last week. And today again, or on Saturday, I should say, or as we look back on it today, we look back on it 2 days ago, he ran quite well. He was more aggressive. He was very decisive, had a great 3rd and 10 conversion. And then on the very next play, he throws a touchdown pass over the middle to Giovanni Gibson. So I liked seeing how John was getting more aggressive and looking a bit more like the John that we've been missing and expecting to come back after the injury or injuries, because thumb and knee. But he's getting there. He pushed the ball downfield more, made a couple deep shot tries. Some of those, one could argue, Mizzou could have been called for pass interference, and one could even make a better argument for they should have. Now, again, play to the point where the refs cannot beat you, all right? But there are still some ones where you're like, that would have been nice to have had a shot to move that ball an extra 15 yards because we didn't get our hands on those bigger passes. All that being said, ultimately, I liked the aggression from John Mateer. I liked it. And I think that it will only get better because you've got the game against LSU coming up on Saturday this week. And hopefully that's going to be a little bit more of a get-right day for the offense. And then you're going to have several weeks going into the playoffs, of course, assuming that Oklahoma beats LSU and makes it into the playoffs. Also, another point to add to that, Missouri's passing defense, if I'm not mistaken, was leading the SEC in pass defense. So there's some grace given to Mateer for that, given how aggressive that Missouri pass defense is and how good it's been. You still like to see more completions than not. Now that one read, that quick read over the middle to Isaiah Satania, coming across the middle, and then Mateer puts it right there for him, and then he goes and streaks off for that 87-yard touchdown, and he's just kind of cruising while the DBs are sprinting to catch him. That dude's fast. That dude's great. Absolute weapon. He is, I believe, 170-something yards away from the 1,000-yard mark. Let's double-check this real quick. He's currently at 827, so he's right at 173 yards away from the 1,000-yard receiver mark on the 2025 season. He's done very well. Very happy with how he's panned out. Giovanni Gibson got his first touchdown as a Sooner on Saturday over the middle. Caught that nice one right there in the end zone. He's been improving since he's come back to active playing time after the injury he sustained in spring ball. Happy to see it. Wanted to see a little bit more Jermichael Carter on Saturday, but I think that in those situations like where Mateer sends it down the sideline to Burks or out to Satania where Satania dropped it, right? Those bigger downfield shots, I'd feel better if you had Giovanni Gibson and Jermichael Carter out there just because they're 6'1", 6'2". They're bigger dudes. And if it's man coverage and those 50-50 balls just go up, make a contested catch, I want those bigger guys doing that. But that's a decision for Arbuckle to make. I'm not on the sideline calling the plays or swapping guys out. All right, that's not up to me. As for the running backs, the rushing attack, Xavier Robinson was the only one that saw a single touch. Torrey Blaylock did not carry the ball at all. Jaden Ott, thank goodness, was nowhere near the field. Taylor Tatum is out. Javonte Barnes is out. But X had 12 carries for 42 yards, so an average of 3.5. And this is with his legs being banged up after the Alabama game last week. When you've got a running back who's as big and strong as Xavier Robinson, he's 6 foot, 235, 240 pounds, and he's just a big dude, and despite not having his legs, he's still able to produce 40 yards for you against a solid defensive line out of Missouri. You've got a dude. Now, granted, they didn't ride him like crazy, which I think if he'd been healthy and Arbuckle had depended on him more, I think that the fabric of the game looks very different. I think Oklahoma probably scores a little bit more because they're able to be more multifaceted on the offense. But I think with Torrey Blaylock not playing at all, I think that's also kind of playing a long game in terms of let's keep these guys as healthy as we can, get to the end of the season, get 3-4 weeks before we have a playoff game, and be ready to rumble. All right? And I think they're going to be doing that across the board with guys that have been injured. I wouldn't be shocked if R. Mason Thomas and Gentry Williams do not play next week against LSU either, and they sit another week out and get ready for the postseason. As for the offensive line, I think they played pretty well. Fasusi, Eddie Pierre-Louis, and Foje, those three young guys in there are doing pretty good. Still some penalties there, some holds. It's getting there. They're coming along. I think that they're getting valuable experience that will lead to them being fantastic next year. I think the offensive line next year is going to be light years ahead of what it has been this year. And this year's already been light years ahead of last year's. And that's with one guy that played a little bit on it last year in Eddie Pierre-Louis, and then two true freshmen that were completely disassociated from it in terms of actual playing time. Mateer was sacked twice against this Mizzou defense, which was top 15 in sacks and tackles for loss. So I'm not super mad about that. They actually played quite well. I think they played pretty decently. And also two of those sacks, Mateer kind of was just sitting back and taking too much time. So I think if he plays a little bit faster, maybe those two sacks don't happen, and that offensive line looks even better. You saw Derek Simmons rotating in at right tackle as well. Big, strong, experienced guy. Just keep it going there. He's going to be out next year because this is the last year of eligibility. I think he's been a great addition there at right tackle, set the edge for John, give him better opportunity to step up with his size and his experience. But overall, offensive line, I think, played pretty well. Offense is a general rule, again, and we've all been talking about this for weeks, ever since Mateer came back from his thumb surgery. Simply, it's not come back to the point of what we saw early in September against Illinois State, Michigan, Temple, Auburn. It's not what it was before. I think it can be at some point. We've just got to get all the pieces together. I think Giovanni Gibson, with a couple more weeks to get more in a groove of practice after the regular season's over, and just go ho-hum and get it ready to go. I think that those 3 weeks going into the playoffs, assuming that OU beats LSU on Saturday, those 3 weeks gearing up for the playoffs, you have a real opportunity to see a very different offense here in about a month. Okay, so let's talk about the defense next. They played absolutely out of their minds. It was phenomenal. I think that this was probably one of their better performances of the season. Granted, I think Alabama is their best one simply because of the quality of offense they were going against. But this Missouri defense, just as talented and just as capable as Alabama was, just in a different facet. Alabama much more pass heavy, Missouri much more run heavy. But we'll go through Missouri's drive sheet, mirrors Oklahoma's defense. So Mizzou had 54 yards, field goal. Peyton Bowen almost got his hand on the ball in that field goal, and he missed it. But that's okay. That's okay. And we'll talk about why literally in just a second. 16 yards, punt. 13 yards, punt. 60 yards, missed field goal. Peyton Bowen got his hand on that one. Then minus 27 yards, punt. 77 yards, field goal. No one got their hands anywhere near that one, if I'm not mistaken. And then Mizzou walked out of the first half with 6 points. They did not sniff points the rest of the day. They come into the second half, 25 yards, punt. 1 yard, punt. 20 yards, interception. Thank you, Jacobe Johnson. Minus 9 yards, punt. 2 yards, punt. 67 yards, turnover on downs. And then 46 yards, interception. Thank you, Eli Bowen. This defense was phenomenal. The front seven were fantastic. Ahmad Hardy, Missouri's running back, who comes into this game on Saturday with 1,346 rush yards on the season in 10 games, comes to Oklahoma and has 17 carries for a grand total of 57 yards for a long of 20. This dude got cooked, all right? That Oklahoma was not going to have it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I read this earlier today, Oklahoma had 0, and by 0, I mean allowed 0 second half rush yards from Missouri. Now, of course, that factors in sack and tackles for loss math in there. But regardless, the ultimate number there is insane. Oklahoma's defense, they were successful at getting off the field 12 of 15 times on third down. They were successful on the 1 fourth down conversion that Missouri had. They didn't allow it. 90 total tackles. 90 total tackles. 8 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. These guys all went nuts. We're going to go through guys that had 5 or more total tackles. You have Michael Boganowski and Reggie Powers had 5. David Stone and Robert Spears-Jennings had 6. Kendall Daniels, Grayson Halton each had 7. Kip Lewis, our wonderful, wonderful man, had 8. And then the werewolf himself, Owen Heineke, with a total of 10. This front seven's amazing. And then add to it these defensive backs, especially the young guys, Reggie Powers, Michael Boganowski, Eli Bowen. Cortland Guillory had a day too. Had some great breakups there. You cannot say enough about how proud you are of this secondary progressing and growing in their youth and getting so much better over every game this season. As for turnovers, you had 2 interceptions. Jacobe Johnson with that stretch out, reach up there and grab it as Prbula just hung it up there. And Eli Bowen on that last drive of Missouri's to seal the win. And this was all done without R. Mason Thomas and Gentry Williams. Like, R. Mason Thomas is without a doubt the best player on this defense. But he's been missing for the better part of 3 games. He went out early against Tennessee. But seeing the rest of this defense step up, you're not sitting there thinking, man, I wish R. Mason Thomas was in for that one. Because granted, you want him. You need him, right? But you don't need him. Because this whole team is stepped up, and they're playing at a nearly identical level without him than they were with him. And that's a massive testament to not only the recruiting, but also the coaching of this defensive staff. Brent Venables, Todd Bates, Jay Valai, Wes Goodwin, Nate Dreiling, Brandon Hall. These guys are insane. Miguel Chavis with his defensive ends, okay? They love him. Frickin' Taylor Wine dressed up as Miguel Chavis for Halloween. All right? This defensive staff is insane. And the best decision that Brent Venables made as a head coach at Oklahoma was for 2025, making himself the defensive play caller. Masterclass decision. This defense is elite. I will not back down from saying they are the best defense in the nation. I will happily stand on that wall, and I will say that every dang day. Because you look at Ohio State's, they're playing really well. You look at Indiana's, they're playing really well. But they have not had the strength of schedule that Oklahoma has. And we're not going to sit here and say Oklahoma's had the toughest schedule in the nation anymore, because as the seasons progress and we see how it pans out, we see what it really is strength-wise. I think last time I checked several weeks ago, we were 16th in strength of schedule. Ohio State and Indiana, they're not playing teams like Ole Miss. They're not playing Tennessee. They're not playing Alabama. They're not playing Missouri. And they're not playing at some of these crazy locations like South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama. They're not going to these insane road environments in the SEC. But this Oklahoma defense travels to these insane environments and has to pick up for an offense that is not what it needs to be to go win games by itself. All right? The defense cannot take a step back or they will lose games. And this defense is never taking steps back. They took a step back against Texas because the offense was handing the game away. Same thing against Ole Miss. When the offense plays complementary, plays well enough to win, the defense goes and wins the game. This is the best defense in college football. Sure, they give up a lot of passing yards. Absolutely. It's a young secondary. And that's also the nature of Brent Venables' defense in being so aggressive on the front that sometimes you're going to leave something open in the back. But they make plays when they need to. They create opportunity when they need to. And they capitalize on it. And they give it to the offense. And the offense is able to capitalize on it. That's how you freaking won Alabama. That's how you won Tennessee. By getting interceptions against Joey Aguilar, 2 of them. And then the offense is able to get Tate Sandell in field goal range. The defense and the special teams are how you're winning games right now. And the offense is doing its part to get you in those opportunities. The defense is insane. All right? They're going to come up and kill you because that's how they roll. Because they are that good. They are absolute savages. They are going to chop your head off. They're angry. They're mad. They are bullies in every sense of the word, and I mean in all the good ways. They're going to bite you. They are, to quote the team's new moniker, hard to kill. They're going to come up and get you. And they keep us in every single game. Or no, the offense is keeping us in every single game. The defense is winning it. Now, yes, 17-6 is the final score. Offense didn't do everything that you wanted it to, but it didn't need to. Didn't need to. The moment that Isaiah Satania had that 87-yard touchdown, the game was over. Because the defense was not going to allow Missouri to get within taking the lead again. They weren't. So, and I'm just excited to see how this defense does when they've all had the better part of a month off and they are all 100% healthy to go into the postseason. Or not necessarily 100% healthy, but like 90, 95. Because you're looking at all the guys that you've got injured or still coming out of injuries or things like that. You've got R. Mason Thomas, John Mateer, Torrey Blaylock, Xavier Robinson, Gentry Williams, even Giovanni Gibson with his leg. Kendall Dolby, if he ends up coming back into a more integral role of this defense there at corner, maybe even at Cheetah when Kendall Daniels isn't in. This team has the capacity to be really special. The older guys on the offensive line, when they all get healthy as well. Troy Everett's going to be out the rest of the season, unfortunately, with his knee getting blown out, but it is what it is. But ultimately, you've got extra time to prepare. This offense, this offense can find a stride, and it's entirely possible that this team altogether puts everything where it needs to be, and they go and take care of business, and they absolutely shatter anyone that they go against if they start playing that A-level offense. And when they start doing that, I mean, even now, I think they can beat anyone in the nation. They can. Does that mean they will? No. Does that mean, oh yeah, we're going to go beat Notre Dame at home, we're going to go play Texas A&M, beat them, Georgia, beat them, Ole Miss again, beat them, Ohio State, Indiana? I don't know. That's why we play the games on Saturdays. But if the offense picks up and plays A-plus level ball, along with the defense of the special teams also playing A+, Oklahoma can beat anyone in the country. And we'll find out when that comes down the pike. As for just moving forward, what we've got to do against LSU coming up this Saturday, the boys are hard to kill. They embody Brent Venables to a T. Do the little things right. Be disciplined and excellent and perfect in the little minute details of the game. Do the work. Do what you got to do to win. Don't go quiet. And they're not going to go quiet. They're not going to go quiet. It is the Brent Venables brand right there. It took him 4 years to get here, but the team is now completely bought in, and they are Brent Venables. Every kid on that field, with the exception of Jaden Ott, is Brent Venables branded. And they will go do the work. They will do everything they have to. And they're going to go win games. They found out how to win. And winning is hard. Consistently winning is hard. 3 straight ranked wins, 2 of them being in 2 of the most hostile environments in college football. Figuring out how to win in those is hard. And they went and they did it. They're at 9-2. They're 8th in the AP, probably 8th in the college football playoffs. And with LSU only beating Western Kentucky 13-10, I have no doubt that Oklahoma is going to absolutely dominate on defense, and the offense is going to figure some stuff out. It's like the heart of Davy Jones right here. Just got to take it, got to stab it. Got to go get it. So take care of business, finish strong at home. LSU comes to town Saturday. As of right now, per ESPN, they're favored by, OU is favored, not LSU. OU is favored at home by 10.5 for Senior Recognition Day. Can't get complacent. But given how they didn't get complacent after Tennessee, they didn't get complacent after Alabama, I don't think they're going to get complacent after Missouri either. And they're going to handle business against LSU. Use this home stretch as a get it right for the offense. Got to see some more incremental consistency. Don't go too crazy with the running backs because you need Torian X to be healthy for the postseason. It'd be great. And don't get me wrong, fans, I know a lot of you are going to want to see it get so much better. I understand. But that's not how it's going to work. That's not how it should work either. It's not going to be like they flip a switch perfectly and then the offense turns into 2017 Oklahoma with Baker, Hollywood, CD, Mark Andrews, Rodney Anderson. It's not going to be like that. And it's not going to be like that overnight. And that's okay. They just need to be good enough. And we'd love to see it get better, but ultimately just play good enough to go win. We don't know how everything's going to pan out. It's college football. There's always a possibility that we're going to lose to LSU on Saturday. I'm confident that we won't. But what I say to the boys, if any of them are watching right now, I know I don't need to say this because Brent's preached it to you all week. Go in there. Dominate. Strangle the life out of them. And punish. Punish them. But yeah, Oklahoma versus LSU coming up on Saturday. Sooners win over Missouri 17-6. Absolutely great defensive performance, improvements on offense. You see symptoms of great improvements on the horizon coming out of that offensive unit. Can't wait to see what they're able to do on Saturday against LSU. And we will be back Friday morning, 8 a.m. Central Time for the Wacko previewing Oklahoma's matchup against those LSU Tigers as they come to town on Saturday. That's a 2:30 p.m. kick on Saturday, Senior Recognition Day. Well, Sooner Nation, that's going to wrap it for this edition of the WhackoReview Podcast, where we break down all things OU football every Monday after the weekend of matchups behind us. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell button so you never miss an episode. We're available on YouTube and on Spotify. Here on our YouTube channel, we do a lot of game highlight tapes, all the highlights from every game, as well as condensed games. Every snap of every game, we have it up here on our YouTube channel, so that Oklahoma-Mizzou condensed game should be coming out sometime later this week. And remember, you can follow us on all of our socials, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter X, all at Wacko Sooners for live news updates, game day highlights, and of course some memes and reels to keep it lighthearted and fun like we like it here in Sooner Nation. Go hit those follows and subscribes so you're always in the Wacko loop. We will see you on Friday for the Wacko preview. Boomer Sooner.